Hello, parents and students. Today's lesson is going to focus on long division. So I'm going to show you three different ways to do a long division problem when it comes down to whole numbers. So the first way is going to be the standard algorithm, and then the second and third way are going to be the grid method and then the box method. So let's do this problem in the standard way first for long division. So some vocabulary that I want to introduce first is divisor, dividend, and quotient. The dividend is the number right here, and then this is the divisor. You're trying to see how many times your divisor equally goes into your dividend. And then quotient is the same as answer when you were doing a division problem. So I'm going to say the word quotient at the end of each problem, all right? And that means our answer. So let's get started. So 6 goes into 8. I know once because 1 times 6 is 8, and I cannot go over 8. So let's see, 1 times 6. Then I'm going to go subtract 6 from 8. That gives me 2. Next step, I'm going to bring my 4 down, and that makes 24. So now I need to see how many times my divisor, 6, goes into my new number, 24. I know that 6 times 4 is 24. So bring my 4 there. 4 times 6. Now take away 24. And that leaves me with 0. Now I'm going to hold this up so you guys can maybe see a little better. Next step, I bring my 3 down. Here's the hard part. I know that 6 is greater than 3, so 6 cannot equally go into 3. So what do I need to do? I'm going to put a 0 as a placeholder, and I'm going to bring down my 6. I do know that 6 equally goes into 36 6 times. So that goes above the 6. 6 times 6 is 36. What is 36 minus 36? That is 0. So our quotient or answer is 1,406. So when I divide 8,436 by 6, this is the answer I get. I'm going to get us started for our next problem. We're going to be doing the grid method next. So let me get myself ready and I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the grid method now. So I'm going to write our problem out first. Our problem is 3,254 divided by 6. I know that 6 is going to be my divisor, and that 3,254 is going to be my dividend. All right. So with the grid method, I'm going to have to put my divisor in a grid, and then I'm going to put my dividend in a box, and I'm going to put my divisor on the outside of that box or a grid. So I'm going to show you how it's done. So your 6 goes here, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and draw my grid. And then each digit gets its own space. So a 3 will get its space, a 2, and you're going to want to leave some space right here in front of the number, and then a 5, and then a 4. All right. So I did all of that in one color because what I taught the students to do is when they start doing the multiplication and the division, it can be, or the subtraction, it can be hard to do it all in one color because you're going to get messed up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my purple expo marker. Always suggest doing this with two different colors no matter what. And I'm going to get started. So 6, will it go into 3? It will not. So my 0 goes up here. And what's 0 times 6? 0 times 6 is 0. So what is 3 minus 0? 3. Now, this is why I said to use a different color. I'm going to draw an arrow from the 3 over. And now my 3 goes here. So I see that I have a new number that is 32. So now I need to figure out how many times 6 goes into 32. I believe 6 goes into 32 5 times because 6 times 5 is 30. So my 5 goes up top. 5 times 6 is 30. So I'm going to subtract 30. And what does that give me? 2. Same thing. Now I'm going to move my 2 over to my 5. So that my new number is 25. So now I need to see how many times my divisor is going to go into 25. So 6 goes into 25 how many times? 4, because 6 times 4 is 24. 25 minus 24, that leaves me with 1. And now, do the same thing that I've done for everything. I'm going to drag my 1 over with my arrow. So my new number is 14. So how many times will my divisor go into 14? It will go twice because 6 times 2 is 12. 2 goes up top. I take away 12. What do I have left? 2. So my quotient or my answer is 542 with a remainder of, sorry, not with a remainder of 6, a remainder of 2. That is what is left over right here. Okay? So whatever's left over after you finish your last part of your grid, that is now your remainder. All right? I'm going to go ahead and get myself situated. I'm going to show you guys the same problem, but with the box method. So let me get myself set up and I will be right back. All right, and for our last method, it is going to be the box method. It is going to look similar to the grid method, but I think this one's a little bit easier. For this, you're going to want to, once again, use two separate markers, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So this is our problem, 3,254 divided by 6. So 6 is my divisor. So 6, let me make sure you guys can see that properly. 6 is going to go on the outside, and I'm going to go ahead and draw my box. Actually, let me move this down a bit. 6, and then I'm going to draw a box all the way to the end. Actually, it's a little bit bigger. I'm sorry. Let me actually cut my light on. 1 second. There we go. That's a lot better. So I'm going to make this box a little on the bigger side, okay? And so what I'm going to put in my first box right here is 3,254. So 3, 2, 5, 4. Now, I need to see how many times I know that 6 will go into 3,254. Well, I might not know that off the top of my head, but I could estimate this number to 3,000. Okay. And I know that 6 times 5 is 30. So if I do 6 times 50, that's 300. And then if I do 6 times 500, that's 3,000. So I know that if I do 6 times 500, that's going to get me close to 3,254. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my marker. I'm going to put my 500 up top. 500. Okay. And what was 500 times 6? It was 3,000. So that's what I want to take away from this number, 3,000. That leaves me with 254. This number, what I get after I subtract my difference, is now going to go in my next box. So 2, 5, 4. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now, 6, how many times will that go into 254? I might not know that exactly, but I do know that 6 times 4 is 24. So that means 6 times 40 is going to be 240. That sounds right. So 40 is going to go up top. And what is 40 times 6? 240. So I'm going to subtract 240 from 254. And that's going to leave me with a difference of 14. And then the same thing. This would be the last chunk of our box. My number here, what I get as my difference, is going to come up here, 14. 6 goes into 14 twice because 6 times 2 is 12. And then I subtract. 14 minus 12 is 2. So that is my remainder. Now, this is the critical part. You got to put an equal sign right here after the 2 because you're going to add this up. So the numbers up top, we're going to add. What's 500 plus 40? 540. What's 540 plus 2? 542. And I can't forget about this part down here with my remainder as 2. And that is the box method. If you all have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.